time for Right Time Radio. This is Lynn Donovan, and I've got my co-host playing with her microphone and making noise on the radio.
Yeah,
Sue
just in case
Haas.
people weren't. What the heck is that?
Yes. Say hello, Sue.
Hello, Sue.
Sue's had a little bit of a frustrating morning, so we're going to take a deep breath, relax. And in our studio today, we have author Russell M. Chase. Welcome, Russ.
Good morning. Thank you.
I don't guess you go by Russ, do you?
No.
I don't even know where that came from. It just kind of, abbreviated. So sorry.
She hasn't said Russ all morning.
I haven't. It just, this microphone makes me do
Here,
strange things. Thank you, Jay.
For those of you that are not watching the radio, never mind.
He's flashing cards at
I
me.
wrote big Russ on a piece of paper just to take notes.
At least he's only flashing cards.
And thank you for having us back on the radio, Tay. We
Sure thing.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love this.
You know, I
Yes,
have
we
some
do.
words of wisdom for you guys,
Tell us.
just to start things off.
Okay.
And here's, I think this is kind of good. You don't need a parachute to go skydiving,
Okay.
okay? But you do need a parachute to go skydiving twice.
Yes. That is very
pass
good
that on,
advice.
That is
Makes sense.
profound.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the very, very weird day that I decide to go parasailing or whatever, yeah, it ain't going to happen. I think there's no reason to jump out of a perfectly good
Me
plane.
too. That's exactly
You know
what I
It
say.
is kind of fun.
Well-
I did it when I was in the military.
Yeah.
The first time you step out is like,
Yeah.
I pull this. I hope something happens.
You scream like a girl.
There'll be,
My dad-
there'll be a lot more than screaming going on. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, I hear you. My dad loved it, but I have no
Yeah.
interest. And I was going to say, there's no reason to jump out of a perfectly good airplane,
Yeah.
but I kind of think there's no reason to jump out of a bad airplane either, because, it might sail and just sort
Might.
of skid, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
And we'll
talk
walk
about this a
away.
week before I fly. Yeah,
Oh, well.
because I love flying so much.
I love flying. I think
You
it's a
don't?
good-
I don't. I
No?
don't like not being in control, but I do like to get from point A to point B quickly.
Yeah, and
Well, the way you drive,
it does
what's-
do you that
well,
way.
you understand
yeah,
that.
That's true.
But then I'm scared of the mountains, so I can't drive to Las Vegas.
Said by the lady who has a sticker on the back of her car that says, "I'm not speeding, I'm qualifying."
I'm qualifying.
Do you fly, Russell? Or you mostly
plane,
drive?
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's...
Oh, I
they
thought I
clarify
saw
that.
wings tucked in there.
I like to fly. What I hate is the process to get on the plane.
Yeah, that's a little tedious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Now,
irritating.
I've had the opportunity, and this is way back when I was in the Air Force, to actually fly in some of the fighters.
Oh, cool.
That is just something that you just cannot.
I did a fast taxi once.
No.
Yeah, well, that's
This is
what's
like
all
a
they
roller
gave us.
coaster on. This is like a roller coaster on steroids. It's just out of control. The pilot, the last guy I flew with, great guys. It was a major. I can't remember his name. Did his best to see if he could make me throw up.
Sure.
Couldn't do it.
Yep.
He didn't.
No.
Well, good for you, Tay.
But he did make some good points. We were doing some aileron rolls, what they call a barrel roll. And he always brought up these good tidbits. He said, if we need to eject, now is not the time to do it. And I'm like, well, need to eject, we shouldn't be saying that anyway. But I
Yeah.
said, why? He says, because the time you come out with your ejection seat, the wings are going to come over and bat you into the next county.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
all right, so
Okay, I'll
so,
stay in my
I'm good with
seat.
that. So now we're flying, and he was like this throughout the whole trip. One of those other ones, we were like inverted over the desert. We're about 600 or 700 feet off the deck.
Oh, wow.
He goes, here's another time we don't want to eject. Why you keep bringing this up? And I'm more concerned about your direction of travel here. And he goes, well, if you eject now, they won't be able to pick you up with a fork.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
all right.
Okay.
fair enough.
Spatula.
I'll stay in my seat one more time.
He was hilarious. I just thought
Sounds
he was
like
hilarious.
it.
But man, it was something. It's
What
just,
base?
it's out of Mountain Home Air Force Base out of Mountain Home, Idaho.
Okay.
I got in real good with the colonel up there. He was the base commander. He owned a vet. That's how I got to talking with him.
Okay,
And
yeah.
he had all these buddies in that came in from all over the United States to fly in. We F-15s, went up in F-15 and F-16, an F-4. So I got to. It was just a hoot. I
Sounds
just loved
cool.
it. Yeah.
Well, my former co-host, Tom Bruno, was the GOB, guy in back, when he was in the Air Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he got to ride a bunch of those
Yeah.
things.
It was a lot of fun.
I didn't get to ride much, but I took care of them.
Yes, you did.
I was at Travis,
Oh, okay.
so the big ones.
Yep.
In case our listeners don't know, Sue is a vet also.
Yes, Air Force vet. But there's this really good story, actually, about Elmendorf in Alaska, Russell, that one of my colonels told me. and there was one of the fighters was getting ready to come in to land, and there was a C-5A, which for our listeners is the giant one that
Yeah, it's
opens
the
the
Galaxy,
whole
yeah.
the Galaxy that opens its whole front end, and they load it. And so this Galaxy was sitting there with its bay open, so this huge thing, and the fighter was coming in, and the fighter pilot asked the tower, what are the intentions of the C-5 on the runway? And before the tower could respond, the pilot of the C-5 said, "I'm going to eat you up."
Pilots are a unique group. I'll say that they're their own animals, but they're a lot of fun. And I've got nothing against officers that are in desks, because anybody who's
Sure,
out there
right.
serving the matter, they all serve their purpose.
Amen.
But the pilots are just nuts.
They're a hoot.
Yeah,
They're just crazy.
It was
I
wonderful
think
to
you
be
have to
around
be
them.
a little crazy to do what they do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, you flip a salute, and one of the officers in the flight, one of these squadrons, is something wrong with your hand? No.
no, sir, sir, no, sir.
Well, yeah. Well, again, they're their own breed. That's
In
okay.
case you didn't notice, we actually have a guest in our studio.
We should probably-
Russell is
No.
quiet.
Russ.
Do this again. Okay. It's gonna be a long day.
I've already started the long day.
I
It's
know.
awful.
We rabbit trail a lot.
Okay,
Russell.
let's talk to Russ.
Let's talk to Russ.
Let's do that.
Well,
Yes.
I thought maybe when you was talking about Elmendorf, that you might kind of segue into this, but
Yeah.
we kind of went off.
I was looking
We
for that,
always
but
go off the rails.
I was looking for
tried.
the
It's always
segue,
like-
but I couldn't find it, so I
Then
just
I-
let her talk.
Yeah, I
But that was your first mistake.
I was
well, I
going.
know.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I was going there. I just sparkled.
Yeah, you sparkle. Sparkle for her
Sorry,
is what she
Russell.
means by rabbit trailing. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Russell M. Chase. He is an author of the Alaska historical fiction novel From Out of the Loneliness. As a teenager and young adult, he learned much of what he writes along the trap lines and rivers he traveled by snowshoe, dog team, snow machine. It was during those years he wrote multiple articles for the Alaska Magazine, Fishing and Hunting News, Voice of the Trapper, and the Alaska Trapper. After moving to Colorado with his wife and 2 boys, Russell earned a degree in criminal justice and worked for the Colorado Department of Corrections for over 22 years. Thank you. That's almost like serving in the
Yes.
military. During that time, he was a member of the emergency response team and the escape team, tracking escaped inmates in urban and suburban environments. Russell is now retired and currently hard at work in his in writing his story. Is the next thing that you're doing? We're going to talk about the next thing you're doing, but is the next thing you're doing kind of Alaska based, or is it?
Yes, it is. It's actually in the 1890s.
Okay.
97.
Okay.
And these books took
Or
place
19.
in the early 1900s.
Right. Okay.
So
All right. We'll get
it's
back
more
to that.
Western.
Cool. We'll get back to that. When he's not writing, he can be found fly fishing, hunting, and prospecting the Arkansas River in the Rocky Mountains. What a fun dude you are to hang out with.
Oh,
My husband and I have been wanting to learn to fly fish, and we went down there to Travis and talked to him a lot. And my husband even started making some flies and stuff. Have we made it to the river? No. So we'll
That's a real art form. It really is.
Making the flies.
Yeah. Well,
I
not
used
only
to tie
tying them,
flies,
but
too.
actually fly fishing.
Yeah.
There's really an art form to it.
yeah, I agree. So
My art is getting hung up in the bushes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my
I
talent.
catch trophy trees.
Yeah, there you go. All the time.
Absolutely.
The Charlie Brown of fly fishing. Put that string up in a tree.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to give you a Congo fly fishing sometime. And I thought about going in Florence, near your town. You're just outside of Florence. I thought of going to that gold. They have that gold panning.
Oh yeah, I went in and
Store.
bought a pan when I first moved here. And
Did you ever go
Yeah,
panning? No. Well,
I
see,
still
we
have
need
a
to-
pan.
We need to all get together and go do that.
Sure.
That
can
would
show
be
us
fun.
Yeah, there's a claim up on the river that I'm a member of.
Oh, cool.
I can take people and show you how to pan a little bit of gold.
Oh, that's too much fun.
Yeah.
See, he's a fun dude
That
to
would
hang
be-
around.
That
that's another thing that's a talent. It's an art. It's an art form because it looks easy, but it ain't.
Especially this real fine flower gold that we have here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I go up to Cave of the Winds and play in their sluice. Woo!
Yeah, I understand.
Because she knows me.
All right, everybody, let's refocus here.
I'm sorry. Well, Russell, your books are amazing, and I want you to know what
Commercial.
Oh, I want you to
She
know.
wants you to know there's a commercial.
I'm like, what? No, I want you to know that my husband loves your books. And as you know, I
Yes.
own 3 of your books because my husband made me go get it when your 3rd one got out, which is, I think that's wonderful. It's so
thanks,
fun to
yeah.
have, it's so fun to have local fans. So after these messages, we're going to talk a little more to Russell. And then actually, Sue is going to be the reader of his latest story. And we'll tell you what that is in just when we get back after this.
Tell me if this sounds about right. When your furniture wears out or breaks, you replace your furniture. So you don't go furniture shopping until you need to.
But that's not how most people shop at Classic Furniture. Most people come in to see what we have all the time. Our inventory changes daily. And then when they find that perfect piece, that piece they didn't even know they were looking for, they move things around in their home and make room for that new furniture.
I guess that's one way to shop for furniture.
However you shop for furniture, shop Classic Furniture, 510 Main.
Canyon City.
Roll Gorge Radio is Star Country 104.5 FM and AM 1400 KRLN. And we, along with area businesses, want to give you free money with our Customer Appreciation Day we call Money Day. Listen, the final Money Day of 2020 will be January 26th, in which the hopper will be emptied, and the first Money Day of 2021 will be February 16th. To play, simply register online at RollGorgeRadio.com. Good luck and Happy New Year from Roll Gorge Radio. Royal Gorge Broadcasting is AM 1400 KRLN and Star Country 104.5 FM, leading the way in high school sports play-by-play coverage.
Saunders block 3, bullseye. Ball's going to try a 3. Down the lane, goes for the dunk, and he got it. Runners away from first and second base. Martino ready to kick in the pitch. That's well hit. High fly ball, deep to right field. That one's got a chance to go, and it's gone.
Moments like those return in the latter part of January with high school basketball. Keep listening for more details. From AM 1400 KRLN and Star Country 104.5 FM, Roll Gorge Radio.
KRLN weather, partly sunny, warmer, and windy today. Northwest winds gusting 15 to 35 this afternoon with a high around 62. Mostly cloudy this evening, then skies clearing overnight with gusty northwest winds, low tonight near 28. Mostly sunny but cooler and windy tomorrow, the high around 47. 22 the overnight low after a high of 55 yesterday. 53 degrees the temperature at the Weather Center.
Talk Radio 1400 KRLN.
Chase. And today we'll be reading a couple of chapters from Russell's new book, Under the Midnight Sun, The Adventures of Dalton Laird, Book 2.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Book 2, and what's the name of the series?
Right, The Adventures of Dalton Laird.
I wanted you to say it.
I thought maybe you couldn't read, isn't
The
it?
Adventures of Dalton Laird.
Obviously, she can't. So
He thought the narrator couldn't read.
I'm going home, everybody.
it's really big type and it's all in crayon.
I
So we're fine.
said it, but I wasn't.
Sorry, we're just picking. She's had a rough
I
morning. She's had car trouble.
They're not helping.
All right, here we go.
So, and this is one of your Alaska.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Series, yes.
This is the prologue. For months on end, the interior of Alaska is locked tight in the grip of winter. Her ermine white robe of snow lies thick on the taiga and tundra with a silence you can almost hear. Under this robe, in the rivulets and rivers, sheltered from the extreme cold, water gurgles and dances along in a relentless search for the Bering Sea, sometimes forced through cracks in the ice to run along just under the snow, sometimes below the ice, but always searching, searching. Steadily, sunlight lengthens, the warm Chinook winds blow, and within a couple of weeks, it seems, the forces of summer has broken winter's grip. Breakup, it's called. The ermine white robe turns to slush that drips, trickles, gurgles, splashes, and leaps to the rivers, then roars and rips the death-like grip of the ice from its banks. Defeated, the ice rises, breaks apart to boulder-sized chunks, and starts to move, relentlessly pushing and shoving ahead, grinding and crushing everything in its path. The rivers are cleansed of driftwood and the flotsam of human refuse left behind. Ice dams form, backing up water, flooding low-lying areas, providing perfect breeding grounds for billions of mosquitoes hungry for a blood meal. Some years are worse than others. Such was the spring of 1912, when 2 mangled prospectors' bodies were found floating in the ice and debris of the Chattanooga River. Chapter 1. I sat in front of the desk wondering what this was all about. U.S. Marshal Harvey P. Sullivan stood on the other side shuffling some papers. I had a suspicion the new marshal wanted me to do some kind of work for him, and I was determined to turn him down. I was through with law enforcement. Besides, I had a new bride waiting for me at home. The frame building smelled musty and dank from the floodwaters that had finally receded back into the banks of the Chenna River a couple of weeks earlier. Looking around the room, it did not seem like it had sustained much damage other than the wallpaper curling up from the bottom edge. In the corner, an electric fan oscillated, keeping the air in constant movement, and the windows were open for fresh air. On the wood stove rested a pie tin containing a piece of smoldering chaga fungus used to keep the mosquitoes at bay. "Sorry for the mess," he said. I looked back at the marshal. "I just got most of this paperwork dried out," he continued, "and now I'm trying to get it all filed away. From what I hear, that was the worst spring flood Fairbanks has had since E.T. Barnett landed here 10 years ago in 1901. Yeah, it was a good one, all right. Mind telling me what this is about? Your telegram didn't give me much information," I said. The marshal stopped moving with a handful of papers, and then looked down at me for the first time since I came in here. A sort of smile crossed his face. Dreibelbeest was right. You don't like to waste time. Get right down to it, so to speak. "Anything wrong with that?" I asked. No, none at all," he said with a smile and shaking his head. Marshal Sullivan sat down, rested both elbows on the arms of his chair, touched the fingertips of both hands together, and stared at me for about 2 seconds. Then he said with a serious tone, "Dalton, I need your help." Now what? I wondered. Let me summarize briefly. I just took over this assignment not too long ago. You know that. Heck, everyone knows that. But from what I can ascertain from the reports is that since the capture of the Blue Parka Man 5 years ago, back in 1906, things in Fairbanks have been relatively mild. Then, all of a sudden, last fall, thanks to you, 3 Indian murders were solved and the Interior Syndicate was shut down. Silence filled the room as Sullivan stared off into space, apparently lost in thought. "Okay," I said, "and you're welcome, by the way, but what's your point?" Sullivan frowned, looked back at me, leaned forward, and placed both arms on his desk. "There's more," he said. "Since breakup, 2 bodies have floated down the Chattanooga." Finding bodies in the rivers during and after breakup happens sometimes, I thought to myself. "Well, sir," I began, "I know you're new to Alaska and all, but that's not all that unusual. Many men have made mistakes crossing rotten ice or got caught in a flood when the ice goes out and drown or whatever." I hoped I had not insulted his intelligence. The marshal briefly smiled, then leaned back and said, "I know. We've had a few of them as well. But these 2 had a bullet hole in the head and teeth freshly dug out of their jaws. They were known to have had gold fillings in their teeth. Last fall, a dead miner found on his claim on the Chattanooga. He, too, had been shot, and some of his teeth had been pried out of his jaw. I smiled. Something funny? No, sir. I was just thinking that that's a new one on me. Evidently, somebody has staked a claim on dental work.
All right, we're going to stop right there, and we're going to go to commercial. And when we come back, we're going to read a little bit more. I can't wait to hear more.
Steve over at Mr. Ed's Family Restaurant in Canyon City says regardless of what goes on, Mr. Ed's will remain open serving up all your favorites from the menu. Oh, yeah. Just call Mr. Ed's at 275-5833 to stay on top of the current status. You can still place your order and Mr. Ed's will have it ready for you when you get there. Oh, yeah. Mr. Ed's Family Restaurant, still up and running. Call Mr. Ed's Family Restaurant at 275-5833.
Got big dreams for your small business? You're not alone. Assurance Partners is a growing business too. That's why they work with Nationwide, the #1 small total business insurer in the U.S. Nationwide can help protect and grow your business so you can focus on making your small business dreams come true. Give Assurance Partners a call today at 1-800-563-1871. Nationwide is on your side. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio, subject to underwriting guidelines, review, and approval. See your local Assurance Partners at 408 Main Street, Canyon City.
I'm Tate Jeffords, the news director here at 1400 KRLN and Star Country 104.5. I want all of our listeners to know that here at Royal Gorge Broadcasting, we are constantly working to keep you updated with the most recent and accurate information on news, weather, and current events. If you witness breaking news or an event that you feel is broadcast worthy, please text or call me at 719-429-0795. Thank you for listening to 1400 KRLN and Star Country 104.5.
We are back with Right Time Radio, and we are reading Under the Midnight Sun. It is book 2 in The Adventure of Dalton Laird by Russell M. Chase. And our narrator is our very own Sue Haas, and you're doing an awesome job, Sue. I really enjoy your voice when you're reading. So let's take it away, Sue.
No, sir. I was just thinking that that's a new one on me. Evidently, somebody has staked a claim on dental work. Sullivan frowned. Evidently, he didn't like my sense of humor. He got up, walked to the wood stove, picked up the coffee pot, and poured himself a cup. Then he held it out to me, as if asking if I wanted any. I shook my head no. It was probably old and strong anyway. So, where do I come in? I asked as he walked back to his chair. Sullivan sat down, took a sip of coffee, set the cup down, and said, "One of my deputies did the preliminary investigation. He couldn't come up with anything. All the miners in Chattanooga are tight-lipped. I think they're all scared, suspecting each other. There's been a few fistfights, but no gunplay yet. You have a good reputation with the miners and trappers here. They trust you. I don't believe they will see you as one of my deputies. I think you may be able to get some information on who may be the culprit, track him down to wherever he's hiding, and bring him in. Man tracking and fugitive apprehension. The last time I did any of that, well, I didn't want to think about it. Nope, I'll pass on this one, I said. The marshal's gaze met mine. His eyes narrowed a bit. Dalton, I need you on this. Dreibelbeest told me you're the best tracker he knows, and that's saying something. Didn't you do a couple of jobs for him back when he was a Montana lawman? That brought up some old memories, some I would like to forget. I looked away from his gaze, remembering those times. I always got my man, except for that last one. Looking back at the marshal, I said, yeah, I helped him out a few times, but that was long ago and far away. Different country. Tracking a man through Muscat swamps is a whole nother story. Standing up to leave, I added, I reckon you'll have to find someone else. As I started toward the door, Marshal Sullivan said, no. I turned my head and met his gaze. What do you mean, no? Just that. No. I don't want anybody else. I want you. I turned and faced him squarely. Marshall, what you want, what you need, is a tracker who is competent. The words just flowed out of my mouth, and I could not stop myself. The last job I was on, the bad guy got away from me. He ended up killing 4 more people, good people. A farmer, his wife, and 2 little kids. If I'd done my job competently, they would still be alive. Well, there it was, all out in the open. Marshall Sullivan stared at me for a few seconds, then said in an even tone, "None of us, and I mean none of us, are perfect." Yeah, here comes the preaching, I thought to myself. However, I sensed something in his words. Perhaps he too lived with a memory he would just as soon forget. "What makes you think you're so special?" he continued. "We can all look back on our lives and regret something we did or didn't do. Now quit feeling sorry for yourself. Pick yourself up, dust off your britches, and climb back in the saddle. Besides," Sullivan paused as he picked up a piece of paper on his desk, "this copy of the judge's order he signed last fall when you were after John Baptiste says, and I quote, 'until such time as his services are no longer needed.'" Sullivan tossed the paper back on his desk. "Your services are needed." He had me in a corner. I stared into his eyes for a few moments, then realized he was not going to back down. "Can I at least go home and say goodbye to my new bride?" I asked. "Sorry, but no. The train leaves for Chattanooga in an hour." Sullivan shuffled through the papers on his desk, picked one up, and handed it to me. "Here's your ticket to ride," he said. Chapter 2. I stepped out of the sheriff's office and started to cross the street. The only thing on my mind was Corinne and how she was going to take this. Suddenly, someone grabbed my arm and pulled me back just as a roaring, grunting, smoke-belching, horseless carriage bounced and slid down the muddy street I had been standing in. I looked back to thank the person who had just saved my life from that roaring beast. It was Freddie from Freddie's Barbershop. "Thanks," I said, "and what the heck was that?" Freddie laughed and said, "That's Bobby Sheldon in his Pope Toledo touring car he just brought in from Dawson. He has plans on using it as a stage to Valdez and back." "Really?" "Yup." Sorry. Take my pages, Lynn.
Got it.
I turned my head and watched it bounce down Cushman Street, rear tires spinning mud as people ran to get out of his way. I had seen 1 or 2 around town the last couple of years, but I never paid them any mind. They always looked way too dangerous to me. I made my way to the telegraph office and sent Corinne at Selcheket a message about what was going on. She was in the middle of teaching school, but she was able to answer before I caught the 4 o'clock train to Chattanooga. It's hyphenated there, it's hard to see. She wished me good luck, and then she added, "Keep watch for sure," which in her mother's tongue meant bear. I thought that was sweet of her to be concerned, but I always kept a clean camp and never tempted fate in bear country. Watching the taiga slip by the coach window veiled in wisps of coal smoke and cinders from the locomotive, I thought about what the marshal had said. I guess he was right. It was childish the way I had been behaving. I just could not get the fact out of my head that that farmer and his family were dead because of me, because of something I had missed, some sign the killer had left behind. "Get back on the horse," he had said, or something to that effect. It had been a long time since I had tracked a man. I thought to myself, easier said than done. Well, good or bad, I'm on the iron horse now, riding this thing to the end. One way or another, I have to catch this killer. The train pulled into Chattanooga at 4:45 p.m. on the dot as the conductor announced that this was the end of the line. I made my way off the terminal platform and down the muddy street, dodging horse-drawn carriages and dog teams pulling carts. The buildings were a hodgepodge of hastily built structures, some made of logs, some frame, built with either board and batten siding or clapboards. Marshal Sullivan had called ahead to the miners' hall and asked them to call a miners' meeting upon my arrival. After checking into Smyser's hotel, I made my way to the meeting hall. Claude Springer, the president of the Miners Association, met me at the door. "You must be Dalton Laird," he said, looking me up and down. He was a rotund person, about 5'6", I figured, wearing a brown suit jacket, corduroy pants, and a derby hat. His right index finger hooked a stogie he used to punch holes in the air as he talked. "I am. Heard about your run-in with John Baptiste last fall. I'm glad somebody finally stood up to that character. Come on in." He turned, stuffed the stogie in his mouth, then took off his hat and led me between rows of chairs to the front of the small meeting house. "A lot of the boys are here already. Others are out working their claims. Gotta make hay while the sun shines, don't you know? Don't know what else we can tell you that ain't already been said to the deputy," Claude said as he hung his hat and jacket on a hat tree in the corner of the room. That's probably true, but we'll see, I thought. I hung my hat next to his, and we sat down at the table facing the crowd. Claude banged his gavel on the table, stood up, and called the meeting to order, then introduced me. "Gentlemen, this here is Dalton Laird. He came to hear what we might have to say about the goings-on here of late. So without further ado, I'll let him speak." Claude sat down and looked at me. I had not prepared any speeches and did not quite know where to start. However, I had to come up with something fast. I do not like crowds, and I am not one for public speaking. So I decided on the next best thing. Staying seated, I said, "I want to talk with whoever found the bodies in the river and the lone miner in his camp last fall. If need be, I'll contact a few others of you later." 2 men raised their hands. "You, in the blue check shirt," I said, pointing to one of the men. "I found one of them. Floated right up on shore where I was sluicing." "Okay, and what about you?" Pointed to the other miner. "I found one caught in a sweeper about a mile upstream from my cabin."
Claim.
"Okay, claim." "I found one caught in a sweeper about a mile upstream from my claim." "Okay, anyone else?" "Old man Higgins found George in his camp last fall," someone said from the back of the room, "but he ain't here. He's out working his claim." "All right," I said as I pointed to the 2 who had raised their hands. "I want you 2 to stay. The rest of you gentlemen can leave." As everyone got up to leave, I turned to Claude and said, "Get me a map of George's claim. I might want to take a look-see around his camp."
Okay, that is all that we're going to share with you. Russell, where can we get this book?
Cheryl's Book Nook has copies, and Kaleidoscope on Main Street
Okay.
has
And
copies.
Amazon.
And Amazon, yes.
Yeah, Amazon.com.
Can't forget Amazon.
I hear you. Yeah, our main marketing area. Yes, so we can get the book and we can find out what else happens. Great story, though.
Oh, yeah. I just kept reading and reading and reading, and I'm like, oh, wait, we can't do this much on the air.
I love the characters. You shared with me one time that Dalton Laird kind of had a background in your own life up in Alaska. Tell us how that came together, how that name came together.
Well, as you say, I grew up in Alaska. And
Right.
So I was kind of familiar with some of the place names up there. There's the Haul Road that they built during the pipeline rush in the early 70s when I was in high school up there.
Not to date you, but
later they changed the name to Dalton Highway.
Okay,
And it goes
so
all the
there's
way to Prudhoe
Dalton.
Bay. And then there in Canada, there's a place called Laird Hot Springs on the Alcan Highway that a lot of people stop at. It's kind of a midway point between the States and Canada.
Cool.
And But it's spelled different. I changed the last name spelling a little
Yeah.
bit from Laird to
Change.
Liard. I think that was called Liard, and this is Laird.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so I
Nice.
just kind of put the two together and
Yeah.
thought, yeah, that sounds like a good name. So,
It does. It makes
Yeah.
a really good name.
He's a great character. Did you base him on yourself? You know, most writers kind of base main characters on themselves.
yeah, I did.
We do that. I understand.
But then I also have other people in my mind sometimes when I've got a character like John Wayne or,
Yeah.
you know, some
Totally.
some good guys, you know, like that.
And,
So,
and some of the characters in here are really based on people you actually knew while you were in Alaska, which that's pretty cool too.
well, some of them are fictional people, well, not fictional, but historical people that actually lived there at that
Right.
time during the 1910s. And like,
Yeah.
Like Drew Bilbus, he was an actual deputy marshal in town at that time.
Nice.
So I threw him in there. I guess that's what they call historical fiction.
Yeah, it is. That
Because
is.
I said, why couldn't you use a guy named Smith?
Yeah. When she was trying to figure
Trying
out
to
the names
figure out how
and
to say that.
The rivers and
Pronounce
stuff
it.
are what are tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, and that's where research comes in handy, you know, so you can throw
Which
in a
I
few.
really like to do, so.
Right, but you can
problem.
throw in a little few real flat facts with your made up facts. Lot of fun, lot of fun. Let's see, let's go to commercial, and when we come back, we're going to talk about other things that are going on and maybe a little more about this book, but we got stuff going on around town that involves this book. So when we get back from commercials, we'll talk about that.
People make all kinds of mistakes with life insurance, like having some coverage but not enough to keep your family in the house, or only having life insurance through work and then losing your job. Want to avoid those mistakes? Get an Allstate agent. They can help you get the coverage your family needs at an affordable price. Are you in good hands?
Call Canyon City Allstate agent Trent Rundell today and ask for a complimentary life insurance review. 275-5762. Life insurance is offered by Allstate Life Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois, and Lincoln Benefit Life Company, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Three Links Apartments is committed to providing quality, independent apartment living for ages 62 and over and disabled individuals who qualify. Spacious one-bedroom and studio apartments with emergency pull cords and located near the hospital. Three Links Apartments are HUD subsidized, so rent is based on income. For information, call 269-9134 or visit them at 1300 North 15th Street, Canyon City. Complies with Federal Fair Housing Act and Equal Housing Opportunity. Three Links Apartments.
This is a national healthcare alert from the 24/7 Diabetic Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one has diabetes, listen closely. Now, regardless of your age, if you have insurance, you may qualify to receive diabetic testing supplies with little to no out-of-pocket cost. Get free delivery, free information, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers for free. You could get a meter upgrade. In addition, we'll give you a free pair of diabetic socks.
That's 800-441-0419.
KRLN weather, partly sunny, warmer, and windy today with gusty northwest winds. The high today around 62. Cloudy this evening and in skies, clearing overnight with strong northwest winds, although tonight near 28. Sunny but cooler and windy tomorrow. Tomorrow's high around 47. 22 the overnight low after a high of 55 yesterday. Now at the Weather Center, we have 57 degrees.
Talk Radio 1400 KRLN.
We are back with Right Time Radio. This is Lynn Donovan. We've got Sue Haas and we've got Russell M. Chase in our studio. And as always, our fearless leader, Tay Jefford.
I ain't leading nothing.
You're working that board.
He's just trying to rein
I'm
it
just
in.
driving the bus. What happens behind me, I
Cool.
don't care.
Well,
Hey, you know,
yeah.
somebody's got to drive it.
Somebody has
Yeah.
to drive the bus and
He
somebody
does a
has to sit
very
in the
good
back.
job.
I'll do my
He did a
best.
very good
The
job.
fact that we're throwing food out the windows has nothing to do with anything.
At least we're not throwing other passengers out
That's
the window,
true.
like the high school bus where you're trying to stuff the nerds.
The freshmen out the
throwing
back.
their shoes out. And,
I don't know if he'd throw somebody out of the bus literally. There's some I'd like to have thrown out of the bus. But we never did that.
we
because,
did find out the emergency door did open when the bus
That's,
was on.
well, when
was
that stuff's
already-
going on in the bus, that's called an emergency.
Oh, yeah.
I can
I walked
justify
home.
that.
Our bus driver, you.
Okay, you're sparkling. Let's go back to Russell.
My bus driver in Alaska. No.
There you go. No, I love your stories, as I said, Russell, and my husband loves them. I can encourage, women and men. These are good stories that both men and women would enjoy, and honestly, I think younger people would enjoy these stories too. So to me, it's very versatile, and I appreciate your writing style.
Thank you.
We're going to see you this Saturday at the Kaleidoscope. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I don't know a whole lot that's going on. I know, I think it's, their anniversary?
It is their
Coming
anniversary,
up.
second anniversary when they opened their store.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and there'll be, at least 3 of us writers, local writers there.
Yeah, that I know
off
of,
and on
yeah.
during the day from noon till closing time.
Yeah, whenever they kick us all out.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're going to have a lot of other stuff going on. They're going to have food and all that. But Russell M. Chase will be there. Lynn Donovan will be there. I believe Tracy Beach is going to be there, and I'm not sure who else. But basically,
Sue will be there wandering around to see what help is needed.
right. And Sue may be narrating. She may be reading, because we're going to take some time and read from some of our books and be signing books. Just visit with the authors. If you've ever wanted to meet a local author, it's a good place to go and visit, because it's very casual. No big deal. There's no security guards that are going to go.
Right, you can
cannot
browse.
approach the author.
Lots of eclectic things.
Eclectic,
that
exactly.
you can, that I love to just wander through Kaleidoscope and just look around.
I agree. Pam
Find
and
my
Patty,
way
we-
back to the books,
Yeah.
but
And they have a bunny rabbit.
they have a bunny. They have a bunny.
In the past, they have, and I have a picture of it. They had a potbelly pig. I'm holding a potbelly pig, and then they had the kangaroo there.
Yeah,
He's
remember
I
that.
moved
met
away.
the kangaroo. I got to
He's moved
sorry.
away.
Don't pound on the table.
But
It
he's
sounds-
on the table.
She has interesting things that just come, and you never know what's going to be there. So the Kaleidoscope's just a fun place to go to anyway. It's at Main and 6th on the south side of the street, and we'll be there kind of probably in and out throughout the day, and just come and meet Russell. And you've got some of your books on display there, correct?
Yes, I do.
And then you're going to bring a couple more. And I'll have some, and I'm going to bring a new series of mine. Yeah, we actually read it here, Sons of Honor. There's 6 books, so I'm going to bring those, and I'm going to be signing books. And Sue can sign a book too.
You can have my autograph if you want.
we
Yeah.
could just get a piece of paper and have Sue give her autograph.
And I was going to say one thing about Russell's books that I really like is we always say write what you know.
Yeah.
Unless you're writing total fantasy, obviously, but write what you know. And Russell knows Alaska.
Yeah.
And
I grew up there, so.
this is not, I would say, not normally my genre, but I printed out the whole book. Accidentally, but I was very happy I did, because once I started trying to pick an excerpt, I just kept going and going and going, and I
'Cause
read
it's
the book.
It's that good. Yeah.
It is that good, yes.
We were talking about one-liners, and he's got several one-liners that we really enjoy. So come by the Kaleidoscope, see Russell, see me, see Sue. Tay may even drop by, who knows.
Not like I don't have anything else better to do, but I can. I actually had, I really need to get downtown some more. That was my thought process, was to get down and see some of the folks down
Yeah.
there. And then COVID reared
I
its
know.
ugly head
I know.
and kind of just blew my
Fizzled
plans
that, yeah.
completely out of the water. But now that we're starting to things are starting to get a little better,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start getting down there so people know. They might know me by name or voice, but they don't know me in
Right,
person.
they don't know
Exactly.
who you are.
And the first Friday...
Which might
of
be
the-
a good thing. I'm not
Yes. The first Friday of the month is a good time to go
Oh, yeah.
downtown, because all of downtown is doing something, and it's just promotes each other, and I mean the camaraderie and everything. It's
Yeah, and
just
then we
amazing.
had the farmers market last year.
That's right.
We still had that going. That was a huge success.
It
I do
was.
see that coming back this year.
I got me some
I hope
peaches
so.
from them. Yeah.
Florence does second Saturdays.
Second Saturdays, yeah. And Kaleidoscope is actually going to start something on second Saturdays. They want to do something with the local authors. We visited with them about it in conjunction with Right Time Radio.
That's a good idea.
And we're talking about having the author that we have on the show the Wednesday before the second Saturday. You know, you have to get out a calendar, figure all that out. But have them come to Kaleidoscope that Saturday and just do a reading. Just read something from their book. And then, of course, they'd be available for signing and stuff like that.
Sure.
So,
That's a good idea.
yeah, so we're going to do that too. But this Saturday is their second year of their anniversary of their store being open. They're inviting it by, or they're having it by inviting all the local authors that we've had in the Kaleidoscope on various occasions with their First Friday thing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I invite everybody in the area that gets this radio station.
The 5 or 6 people who that were actually at
All those. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, there's at least one. So, I think we do pretty good considering.
I do too.
Yeah. I have no idea what it would be, but
Yeah.
it's all right.
So, Russell, there's 3 books in this series, correct? And they're out.
Yes, ma'am.
They're all out, so we can buy those. What's the next project you're working on?
Well, I was thinking this coming Saturday I might bring my work in progress, the first few chapters I've got
Nice.
down. It's in rough draft form, but
Cool.
and have you or somebody read it for me. But it's called Blessed Are the Peacemakers.
Okay.
And it's about this ex-gunfighter from the West in the 1800s that, like other people, were getting pushed out of the West because it was taming down, you know.
Yes.
They went to Alaska, you know, with Wyatt Earp and Matty Silks. And there was a couple of people from Tombstone that went up to Alaska during the gold rush. And so this character went up there also, but in the process, he was convicted of his vast background and his past life. And he turned his life around and became a Baptist preacher. And now he's a circuit riding gunslinger in Alaska.
Cool. What an interesting character.
And he carries 2 peacemakers.
Okay.
And so, hence the
His
name.
guns
Hence
are
the
the
name.
peacemakers.
Hence the
Right.
title, Blessed Are the Peacemakers, which of course was taken from the Bible too.
Of
so.
course, yes.
And but he's got some issues going on, and he can't live with because of his past life and all that. So he's
Gotcha.
got to deal with that
He has
while
turmoil.
while trying to fight evil wherever he goes. You know, so.
Oh, that sounds
I love that
a lot of
concept,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, do bring those chapters. So see, only here on Right Time Radio did you learn that you can hear a work in progress
Yeah.
being read on Saturday at Kaleidoscope.
How often do you get that opportunity?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very rare.
It's a service we provide.
And then actually be able to meet the person
Yeah.
that's doing the writing.
That's doing it, which
Yeah,
I think
so-
that's awesome. I think it's awesome to know the author that you're reading.
I think it makes a big difference when you talk to that person and see that person. Of course, I never had the opportunity before this, and now I'm like, I know these people.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've never would have had the opportunity to meet people like Russell, people like for here. The only author I met previous was a gentleman that worked for the PRCA years and years and years ago. He wrote a book about Chris Ledoux called Gold Medal Dreams, Gold Buckle Dreams.
Okay.
Met him, and I was hoping he signed the book, and I was hoping to get Chris Ledoux to get it signed.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he passed before I could get that offer done. But I did. I do have a hat at home, a
Nice.
cowboy hat that I had Chris Ledoux sign. Well, I had the opportunity to meet his son Ned Ledoux, and I said I was part of the Working Ranch Cowboys Association deal up in Colorado Springs, and I said I've got a favor to ask. He goes, what can I do for you? I said, your dad signed this for me 30 years ago. Would you mind? He goes, not at all. So I've got Chris Ledoux and Ned Ledoux's signature in this hat.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool, Tay.
I actually worked with an author many years ago. The Inspector General team came in to, inspect our base, Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico, and I was one of the clerks that was allowed to work with the IG team, and I met a gentleman named Robinson Reisner, and I think he was a colonel at the time, and Colonel Reisner had written a book about his experiences as a POW.
Oh, wow.
And so he gave me an autographed copy of that book.
Wow. That is,
That's cool.
and you still
It was
have
hard
that?
to read.
I was going to ask you that next. Was that hard to read?
It was very hard to read because you know this person
Sure.
that you're working with, and he seems okay.
Yeah,
you know.
but what all he's been through.
And then you read
Sure.
this book
But
And you're
about
like-
his experiences.
You're like,
yeah.
I have so much more respect for you now.
Oh.
Well, and I have to tell Suze, because this is your story, but you actually met John Denver's father as well.
John Denver's father, Colonel Dotzendorf, was also on the IG team. Yeah, I think he was a colonel. Yeah, and he was also on that IG team. And
Yeah.
I'm like, can I meet your son? No,
Yeah.
you know, you have to be professional. And of course,
Of
I never
course.
said that. But
So
I
salute
was,
first, then ask.
yeah,
Yes,
salute first
exactly.
and then ask. But yeah, it was quite
Sir,
a
I
privilege
love your son.
to. Yeah, sir, I adore your son. So, but yeah, that was probably one of the best experiences I had in the Air
That's
Force was
so
meeting
cool.
those two men.
Well, I understand. Yeah, well, when I first got here in Colorado, when I first moved here, it was 6 years ago. Wow, 6 years ago. A friend of mine from camping, I've talked about this before. The reason I even came here was because we had a group of people who met here camping, and we've been doing that for like 10 years. So one of the ladies that I knew from camping sent me an invitation to go to the college to do, because they were having an author day where they were doing book signings. And I mean, I had barely unpacked my boxes, and she's like, I realize you've just moved, but this is a really good opportunity for you to meet a lot of the local authors. So I was like, you know what, I'll do it. And so I went, and from that meeting is a whole lot of the people that have come on this show, because I met a lot of people, and I, thank God, had the foresight to get their name and number, their emails. Yeah. Nancy Oswald, we've had on here, David Lynn Spencer, Tracy Beach. I mean, all the people that we've had here lately, I met at that first get-together, and then we talked about having like a writer's retreat kind of a thing. Have you ever been on any of those here
No, I
local?
haven't.
Well, we talked about getting local authors together and just, sharing what you've learned, like how to market your book, or how did you get your book to load on KDP? I was having this problem, and we just kind of did that kind of a meeting, and we did that for several months. So again, that was when I got the mailing list then, and then when we started Right Time Radio, I used that list to build from there. And so it is amazing, and we've talked about this before, how many creative, talented people we have in Fremont County, besides authors.
I met a lot of theater people at PCC.
Right, and we've got artists, and we've got, jewelry makers, and it's just, Fremont is a very creative area to live in. Well, I guess that's our show for today, and I want to thank everybody for listening in. Thank you, Russell, for being here with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
When you get another book out, well, soon we'll do book 3, because we haven't done book 3 in this series.
Right, I said this was Russell's new book, but it's
Actually,
not.
we did do book
Sorry.
3.
Oh,
earlier
did we?
this
We skipped.
Last summer, yeah, we skipped over when I
Gotcha.
came back, and then now we went back to this one.
With COVID, I've all mixed up. But anyway, tune in again next Wednesday at 9 o'clock for Right Time Radio.
Bye.
We are Royal Gorge Broadcasting, AM 1400, KRLN, Canyon City, Florence, and Penrose.